Two flag carriers with two very different fortunes. Our national carrier, Air New Zealand, is having to hit reset after posting a $40 million loss, while rival carrier Qantas soars with record half-year earnings. So how can this be? Andy Bowley is Forsyth Barr's Head of Research. Andy, thanks so much for being with us this morning. So why is Air New Zealand losing money while Qantas profits?
I think in short, the revenue and cost backdrop for both businesses are quite different. So Air New Zealand's revenue is somewhat lackluster from a growth point of view. Revenue through that first half grew 1%, Qantas's grew 6%. Then you look at the cost backdrop, Qantas's cost growth was similar to its revenue growth. So it was up 6%, but Air New Zealand's in contrast was up 8%. So they've kind of got both a revenue and a cost problem, which is compounding to the extent that the company is now loss-making.
Yeah, okay. So tell us about the grounded planes and maintenance costs. I mean, this seems to be, listening to the CEO on media interviews yesterday, one of the key things that he's saying has created difficulty for the company. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. It's one of several key things that are impacting the performance of the business, and it's unfortunate. It's impacting other airlines, but it's impacted Air New Zealand disproportionately more than Qantas or many others out there in the global aviation space. So this has been going on for quite some time. They've had aircraft on ground type issues previously with regards to engine maintenance. But the challenge that they've had, particularly over the last 12 months, and that will continue through this calendar year at least, is that two of their engine types, both Rolls-Royce engines for their Dreamliners, together with the Pratt & Whitney engines for their newer fleet of the short-haul aircraft, are both being impacted at the same time. So there's quite a bit of capacity being taken out of their fleet currently relative to a lot of their competitors overseas.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, just on that point, I mean, we know that, those planes, I mean, it sounds like Rolls-Royce have got some sort of fix, and there's been, in the words of the CEO, a bit of a breakthrough. But it does not appear that that fix is going to be seen until the end of the year, i.e. these planes are still going to be on the ground. So, I mean, how problematic is that for Air New Zealand?
It means they can't fly as much as they'd like. They've got a business and a business structure that's set up for a lot more flying than they're currently doing. So it kind of means that they can't generate the level of revenue that they want to generate to support the cost base that the business is currently structured for.
Yeah, okay. And so how long will it take to return to profit, do you think, or is that kind of crystal ball gazing here? We don't really know.
There's an element of crystal ball gazing for airlines generally. It's a tough sector. You've got a number of dynamics that impact the financial performance of these businesses, and the history of the sector is not particularly compelling relative to other more attractive sectors to invest in. My suspicion is that the business will continue to be loss-making, not just through the second half, which management talked to yesterday, but also into the next financial year. That's their FY27, the 12 months to June 2027. That could well be loss-making also, before potentially becoming more profit-making from the FY28, i.e. the year from mid-27 to mid-28.
Wow, okay, so that's some time off. I mean, amid these major sort of restructures and overhauls, I mean, would you anticipate that there would be redundancies at Air New Zealand in order to get them back into a state of profitability?
I think that's a potential outcome in terms of the strategic review that the company announced yesterday, but I wouldn't want to flag that as being something that's a certainty. I think, they've, as I said before, they've got a revenue and a cost problem. Now, their biggest cost bucket is labour. It's a heavily unionised workforce, so there are challenges in terms of managing that cost bucket, and job losses is a potential outcome. But I don't know for sure, and there's clearly a lot of stones that they have to turn over to work out what the best course of action is to manage their cost base in a competitive and efficient manner going forward.
Yeah, and amid this loss being posted, we know that the politicians have jumped in there and said, oh, well, at least David Seymour has, and said that the government should sell its 51% stake. Winston Peters said, well, that's a dumb idea. Where do you sit on this? Should we be selling up?
I think there's kind of two issues here. There's one, the government's take in terms of the politics behind owning a stake in an airline, and then secondly, there's the stability that provides the airline through what can be quite a cyclical environment for these types of businesses over the longer term. And we saw that the second part of this through COVID, in the context of the support the government provided during a very challenging period and significant losses, well in excess of what we saw yesterday, that the company was experiencing. So it needed a capital injection at that time to support the business on a go-forward basis. The former point around politics and the rationale for investing in an airline, I guess that there's many, not least the broader tourism support that an airline can bring to a small disconnected country. Maybe disconnected is the wrong way of saying it, but far away from its key trading partners and tourism markets that it sources those tourists from. So, there's plenty of reasons, but I won't get into the politics.
No, fair enough, mate. Andy Bowley, thanks very much for your insights and analysis. Andy Bowley there, he is the Head of Research at Forsyth Barr.